is housed in this section. We also have a department of small mammals, which is sort of that same range and then smaller. So in this section of the department, things are organized taxonomically. And here, I always like to start in this part because it also illustrates the challenges of working with natural history specimens, especially large mammals, because of the size and the unusual shapes of the specimens. You'll see in the rest of the section we have very nice standardized cabinets and things can more or less fit into containers. But some things really, if you look at some of the buffalo skulls, for example, you just won't fit them into an ordinary kind of storage setup. And that also contributes to limitations in terms of, collecting over time. Space for large mammals is a big issue. And of course, a lot of species, our larger species, are governed by international and local legislation because of being endangered. So your carnivores, elephants, rhinos, those kinds of species. It's very difficult to obtain permits to acquire them. And so it's also for mammals, it plays a role in the expansion of our collection. I also like to show some of these examples. Here you can see, I think this is a hartebeest, and it's still got a little bit of tissue on it. I don't mind touching it, but most people have an issue, of course. And this is one of the issues that we face working with organic materials, is how the balance between preserving the specimens, treating them so that they are, of use, but at the same time considering things like long-term preservation. If you boil this skull for 50 hours to get it clean, you might destroy some of the aspects that are useful for especially molecular analysis. If you treat it with very harsh chemicals, analysis like DNA or isotopes actually can't be performed. So it's a balance in terms of treatment, but also not to go too far. But in this case, this one is one of the oldest specimens, and it's clearly hadn't gone through a good process. So part of collections management is to return to these specimens and to assess them, and to those that can be retreated, to actually put them through the process again.
When you say one of the oldest, how old is it?
1950s.
And how do you preserve this?
How do we preserve this?
Yeah.
Well, it's these days we really try to use this as few chemicals as possible. So on an industrial scale, there's two methods. The one is to put the specimens in an oven and over a low heat, and then all the bone grease and marrow and things like that will drip out. And then after that, it's boiled. Sometimes sort of less harsh chemicals are used, but it's really only to loosen some of the tissue, which can then be easily removed. Because this is what we're aiming for. If you look at this one, for example. This is a much nicer specimen, much cleaner specimen to work with. So yes, that's just nice behind the scenes info, because it's a reality we face, and of course something like this contributes to pest management. So you need to account for these kinds of things. Pests is a big problem in natural history museums, and things like this is exactly something that a pest is looking for. So it's again, it's thinking about these things on a continuous basis.
Do you lose specimens sometimes because of this?
Sometimes, yes. I must say in sort of extreme circumstances, when there's been, let's say, a pest infestation that hasn't been noticed and treated. For large mammals, I must say, it's usually the kinds of pests that we find are easy to spot, and standard fumigation keeps them out.
You use maggots to clean the bones?
Domestic beetles, yes. They are used especially with smaller specimens. Your rats and bats and things like that, where the boiling process, you could easily sort of lose those bones. And so for especially the smaller ones, it is used. I'm not sure if we still have an active domestic colony, but certainly in general it's something that is used.
The museum hasn't done it for a while.
Perhaps in small mammals they have, yeah, but I'm not sure if it's still active or they've stopped with it.